back. I want them to know fear. To feel powerless.
You don't know who this man is, do you?
So just jumping right in, Gangs of London has already proven that it's not afraid to sacrifice some major players.
Yeah.
Sean, we've had, now it's Alex. Why did you decide to kill him off, and especially in that way with suicide?
I suppose there's a number of reasons. It's always very sad when this happens, but Gangs of London is an unsafe show. It should be feeling dangerous at all times. And that was a sort of ethos in a way in season one. Just, you mustn't feel safe. Characters could go at any moment. I think it's something that worked in some other shows, like Game of Thrones did it very well. And also it was supported by the networks, where they were saying, we're looking at the scripts, we want you to kill more characters. So I was like, wow, really?
Oh, wow, okay.
And what happens to Alex is directly representative of his sort of trajectory from where we leave him at the end of season one. He's got a lot of pressure mounting up. He has to go and kill Sean Wallace. He goes on the run. Actually, a year has passed. He's been promoted. He's at the head of Damani Finances, almost like a figurehead. But what he's really doing is trying to figure out a way to get out of this and protect his family. He's a smart guy. He's got means, but he's also struggling under pressure with the guilt of having seen his brother, his friend, killed in front of him, Sean Wallace. So he's using drugs, and it all mounts up. Meanwhile, this guy is sent also to see that he comes to his end. So it's one of those Gangs of London predicaments that's tragic and also hopefully keeps you on your seat, because after that, what else could happen?
That's very true.
Is that a good answer?
This is a great answer.
Yeah, cool.
So I know that you can't tell me who, but are there any other major players that we may lose this season? Any other?
What do you think?
I think there's a likelihood. I think there's a very high likelihood, but
Yeah.
what are you telling me?
Wow. Yes, there is. I can't tell you who, but that's part of the fun. But it's not all about who dies, it's about who survives and who allies with who and who makes it through. And, I think there's a lot of love in Gangs of London. There's a lot of sort of heart in the show that keeps you watching as well. I don't think you'd just be watching if it was just a case of who dies.
Yeah. I know the show has been criticised for its brutality before in the past, but it's, like you said, it's not just about the blood, the violence. But why is the violence and the signature violence quite important to a show like Gangs of London?
I mean, for me, it is part of the sort of DNA of doing a cinematic show based on a criminal underworld, that we wanted to combine a lot of genres to tell the story. So we pull from horror, from Western, from martial arts, action movies, and you sort of blend this into the world that we created, this Gangs of London. Is sort of reflective of an authentic London, but is also a heightened version of it. So it's a kind of Gothamized version of real life. It's not actually real life, but there's a part of the sleight of hand illusion by reflecting this sort of multicultural London and using subtitles and authentic settings. Is also you're going into these like extraordinary over the top set pieces that don't really happen like that, but it's what people want to watch to escape their normal lives.
Also, we are surrounded by violence in different forms, but violence is a part of human life, and we're just blessed that many of us have not been exposed to the violence that we see in Gangs of London on a day-to-day basis, but that doesn't mean it's not happening,
On that vein, there's a scene that you do with the gold dress wrapped around the guy's neck, and the blood vessels on the eyes just pop.
He's such a bad man. It's all his fault,
Have you guys watched that back? Have you seen it? What was your reaction?
You must have watched that
I've
thousands of
seen
times.
it probably over
He was
1,000
painting in the veins.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of our way of introducing where we find Elliot in season 2, which is in a pretty kind of ragged place. He's spent a year being this kind of attack dog for the investors, and he's wanting to find his own answer and his way out of this. And he's not a sort of slick operative wearing a balaclava shooting people with a gun. He's ending up on the floor grappling with this guy with things that come from the environment. I mean, it's part of the fun of Gangs of London is where these fight sequences take place. It's involving the environment. In this case, it's a laundrette. There's a lot of sequined dresses hanging, and if you're in his position, you might use one as a weapon.
Whose decision was it to get so detailed with the capillaries in the eyes just popping as well?
That would be
No,
right, yeah. It was. Sope forced me into it. He was like, "Listen, I think it'd be really cool if..." No. It's a visual aesthetic, and it's trying to find iconic images that are memorable, and I see that as part of cinematic filmmaking.
You recently did an interview where you said that you watched your season 2 work back and you wondered if you'd gone too far. Is there any particular moment that we can look forward to that makes you feel like, yes, that's the moment that you probably push the
Encouraged
limit?
to tell people, like, you know what, watch it, and if you think he's gone too far, just take a note, take a note of the time code and see if you change your mind later in the series.
Oh, nice.
That's good. Yeah, audience make their notes. Yeah. I mean,
Pushing the limits.
I actually commented on that. It's about 8 minutes in that sequence with the laundrette, and it was around that moment when the guy's eyes under strain. Because when you're putting things together, there's months and months and months of planning, prep, choreography, rehearsal, special effects, makeup, props that goes into it. You put it all together, you imagine it, and you have to execute it on the day. And then there's editing, visual effects, sound design. So it's only really after months and months you finally watch the sequence, you see it, and then that was when I was like, oh, yeah, we've gone too far with this. Gangs of London has to go too far sometimes.
You need that kind of tension for a show like Gangs of London. Yeah. Sope, the first time you see Alex is the first time you've seen him since Sean's death. I think Alex is very vocal about how he feels about the whole situation, but I feel like Elliot's maybe holding back. What is it that he's not saying in that moment?
I suppose that's the art of negotiation and manipulation. You don't want to distress the person that you want something from. So by going down that route and talking about that too much, he probably will lose his allegiance for what he's trying to achieve in that scene. What is Elliot holding back? Probably his disdain for Sean Wallace. Now it doesn't matter that he's dead.
Oh, wow.
Maybe there's nothing to like shut up and focus, man. But this is right here, right now. But yeah, I mean, they both lost a lot over that last year.
Yeah, and he's trying to rebuild over the year that's gone past.
Things could have gone very differently if Alex had agreed and you basically both just run away together and into the sunshine. It would have ended after one episode.
Beautiful, yeah.
Season 1, you're pretty much on your last legs, and now you've come back fighting strong. How did we get here?
Well, it's the angel that came to save me. Pushing that little baby along. Yes. So that's the dichotomy she's in, and Floriana saves her life.
Yeah.
And Floriana is also in charge of Marion's money, which was her husband's money.
Yes.
And so they are in a sort of like an alliance of necessity, but Marion is also loyal. There's a code as well, so she knows she owes Floriana her life, and this is the woman she faces every day. They live in the same house. She hears the cries of her dead husband's baby, and she looks at the woman who destroyed her life every day. So she's channeled everything into activity. She's got back to work. But Floriana also needs Marion, because Marion knows how to do this. And but Floriana has the means to do it.
So this is an alliance of necessity.
Yeah.
Once that necessity is removed, is there a possibility that things will explode between them? Something coming, maybe?
There's certainly explosiveness, isn't there? Yeah, it's not an easy relationship at all. No, it's like love, detest, basically. But Marion's also a loyal woman. You know what I mean? She is loyal, and I think it surprises her too, the way she reacts to the events that happen. Yeah, very much so.
So what has kind of motivated her to seize this kind of power and control? Was it the powerlessness of herself at the end, or? I think
it's revenge, it's survival, and she's had to constantly do that throughout her life, you know. That's how she met Ed in the first place. Yeah. You know, she had to leave her hometown to come to England. You know, she meets Ed, and then Ed introduces Finn. 3 of them start working together. It's always about reinvention, survival. Yeah.
So they've had quite a close relationship in the past, but the last time we saw these two together, they were pointing guns at each other.
Totally.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yes, they were. The ties that bind equally choke.
Yeah.
So what is that reunion possibly going to be like for them?
Well,
Quiet.
loaded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of carry on with the gun metaphor. It's, well, at its core, it's family.
Yeah.
And there's nothing builds you up or destroys you like family.
Yeah, and I also know I have another involvement in Ed's family as well, so which is a surprise to
Everybody.
everybody, and because nobody knows that I'm alive,
Yes, of course.
so it's quite a
Yes.
powerful thing, yeah, to not.
So when will this involvement in Ed's family reveal itself, shall we say? What episode should we be looking for?
Oh, you'll just have to keep watching.
Oh, you're keeping me on my toes. So you were talking about family before.
Yes.
Ed is about to be hit with this emotional sledgehammer. His son is now dead. How is that going to shape the choices he makes going forward?
Oh, it shapes everything. Absolutely everything. He is not only goes into a personal crisis, a sort of a personal journey into the deserts for 40 days and 40 nights. He also has to reinvent and reassess his relationship with his daughter.
Yes, because they left things quite tense.
And it's that is incredibly satisfying, and I think the fans will be very satisfied.
So will it pull them together or kind of tear them apart, this death in their lives?
Both.
Interesting. How will it affect his business? Because Ed has kind of been almost like the middleman in the past. He's worked for the Wallaces, and he's also now with Mr.
Afridi, yes.
Afridi, thank you
Yes,
very
yes,
much.
not at all.
So now with this death, will it help him to reevaluate what he wants from the business? Is he ready to take control, or will he want to step back?
Well, it's what he finds himself. It's a bit of a crossroads because he's the connection between the old world and the new world. And even though in the new, where we find him at the beginning of season 2, finds him very much in the same sort of role, but in very reduced circumstances to what he has been used to for 30 years. I think, let's just say he rediscovers his roots in the best possible way.
Oh, good. Were there any scenes that you guys were really excited about filming or sharing with the fans? Was there anything that's coming up that you're like, yes, I can't wait till the viewers get to see this?
Oh, I think there's a reunion.
Yeah.
There is a reunion of sorts, which I think the fans will be very satisfied by.
Intrigued by, yes, indeed.
Is the reunion in this room or?
It's in the
between-
orange sky. The reunion is in the orange sky.
It's so vague.
Yeah,
You'll just have to watch and see.
yeah.
I'm excited.
absolutely.
I definitely will be watching.